Welcome back. This is the Soul Reconstruction Project, and I am your host, Miss Janelle. Today, we're talking about protective styles, setting secure boundaries with yourself and others around you. If you're trying to build a new life while the old one's still trying to set your foundation on fire, then this podcast and Miss Janelle's YouTube studio is for you. In this episode, we're learning how to build walls around our sacred self. We're talking about protective styles, and if you care for your own hair, you know that a protective style like braids or twists keeps your hair tucked away, safe from the friction and the damage of the outside world. And psychologically, we need the exact same thing. We need to create secure, protective styles for ourselves, and that involves two parts: internal space and our external space. So, the internal protective style refers to our mind and our spirit. The boundary you set for yourself, specifically around your thoughts, emotion, and energy, it's a commitment to defending your inner world from your own outer critic or internalized shaming messages from your past. It's the difference between hearing a critical thought and believing a critical thought. So here are some examples of what that kind of looks like if you're lacking internal boundaries. When you don't have an internal protective style, your inner space is vulnerable to self-inflicted damage. So here are some signs. An echo chamber. You constantly replay arguments or mistakes in your head, using them as proof that you're fundamentally flawed or unlovable. A shame spiral. A small mistake like forgetting an appointment immediately sends you into a catastrophic thinking. I'm useless. I always mess things up. This is an internalized abuser taking over your narrative. Self-betrayal for others. You know you need to rest, but you push yourself to burn out to avoid feeling lazy. You prioritize external validation over your core needs. And an emotional abandonment. When you feel angry or sad, your first instinct is to distract, numb, or ignore the feeling, rather than giving your inner self the gentle attention it needs. Here are some recoveries, some things that you can work on when creating an internal security. It involves becoming your own gentle, non-judgmental caregiver. When your inner critic speaks, you need to interrupt it. You need to interrupt that critic in your head. Visualize placing a stop sign in your face. Replace the harsh message with a factual, compassionate statement. Instead of "you ruined everything, try I made a mistake and I'm still learning how to do this." A mindful disidentification. You are not your thoughts. Use mindfulness to observe the toxic thought, label it. This kind of goes with my RIP framework, the R, resilience and recognition. Like labeling something, oh, that's the shame spiral, and letting it pass rather than engaging with it. Prioritizing rest. Make rest, downtime, and disconnection non-negotiable. This is the ultimate internal boundary. You're telling your body, I value your survival over productivity. Next part, external protective styles. That means with others, your actions and your relationships with others. A boundary you set for others. It's clear, a communicated rule book for how people are allowed to treat you, what they can ask you, and what consequences exist if those rules are broken. These boundaries protect your time, energy, and emotional safety. And I know for my survivors, my parents, and the people that have dealt with family members that have kind of not taken their boundaries as seriously. And these are the types of external boundaries that you may have if you're lacking them. And without having, good external boundaries, you're constantly going to have friction and damage from the outside. So one example is the open door policy. You're always available. You answer calls immediately. You cancel your own plans for others. You allow people to dump their emotional crisis on you without even considering your capacity. So you're there for everybody, which is great. You're obviously going to be loved in that kind of space. If people are constantly needing you and you are always there for them, of course you're going to be that really great friend. And most people who are lacking in external boundaries have a lot of great friends that consider them to be like, yes, this is my go-to person to talk to when I need help. They're always there for me. They're always answering my calls. Like, This is that person. The passive approach. Instead of saying no, you say maybe or yes, and then you secretly resent the person. This leads to burnout and fractured relationships because you haven't even been honest about your limits. And then justifying the violation. Someone violates your boundary. They're late. They talk over you. They criticize you. And your trauma brain immediately jumps into making excuses for them. They had a hard day. It's not that bad. Oh, they just got back from a 12-hour work shift. They're probably on edge. Let me just be quiet. This is walking on eggshells. This is a learned lesson that your safety is less important than their comfort. Here's a recovery. Some clear rules that you can implement to help with your external boundaries. This requires clear communication and accepting that your comfort is worth more than someone else's mild discomfort. And keyword on mild, because when you're setting boundaries with people, if someone has a huge discomfort with them, that's a different problem, and we're going to talk about that later in this episode. So, one thing, scripting your no. Have a clear, concise statement ready. I can't take that on right now. That doesn't work for my schedule. You don't owe an explanation or a justification. Consequence setting. A boundary is meaningless without a consequence. This goes to reparenting as well if you're parenting your child. If someone continues to violate your time boundary, the consequence might be limiting their access to you or reducing the frequency of your contact. Starting small. Begin with low-stake boundaries. Tell your friend you can only talk for 20 minutes tonight. Turn off your notifications after 8 p.m. Things like that. Success in small boundaries build the muscle for bigger ones. For myself, when I'm thinking about my RIP framework, I think mostly about the P, the power and the purge. Being able to start small and telling people these types of things really helped me to be very firm with people who were not always very happy with the boundaries I was putting on them. And then also having to set a consequence with a grown adult is not easy. It's not comfortable. So none of these things, including the stuff you need to do internally and externally, are comfortable things, which is why people stray away from doing it, because the easiest thing to do is just say yes or okay, I'll do it. But really it's not. And it gets so much easier if you just start small. So what I want to do is connect these two things and directly connect it to post-separation and kind of like having a perimeter. How do you do that? How do you work with someone when they have basically internally and externally tried to sabotage everything in your life? It's really hard to have to work with someone, especially you have a child with them. It's a different kind of work. It's not like a group project exactly. It's a human being that we're working together, and healthy relationships, healthy styles need to be set. And one thing that I know I have been doing a lot better with is my internal boundaries, because something as simple as having to message a person that you've been abused by to, talk about things that have to do with your daughter and be professional and be businesslike. It's hard when they don't act that way, and you get responses that take you out of your comfort zone, that take you out of, the place where you're trying to be at peace. So here are some examples of what internal and external boundaries might look like when you're dealing with post-separation abuse, if you're parenting and stuff like that. This is a physical and digital scaffolding that keeps the chaos out of your daily construction zone. And this is what this is. Like I said, soul reconstruction. This is a construction zone. We are working on this. We're building new things. We're taking things down. It is a lot of work, and it's not something that just happens overnight. It's not even something that happens in a couple of months. This is something you have to work towards forever. Always getting better and harder with how firm you are with what you need. Using parenting apps and the Gray Rock communication to block communication breach. Like I said, one of the things that you have to do if you're working with a co-parent is talk to them. Do you have to talk to them in their face? No. Do you have to call them? No, you don't. There are beautiful apps, parenting apps, that help I'm using our family wizard, and they have this really great thing where they kind of gauge how negative your messages are, or how they can be taken negatively, and they kind of give you like a little red or a green when you're writing your message. Those are really helpful because if you don't know, if you're working with people that aren't really comfortable with others having boundaries towards them, then this is a great way to maintain a communication that is positive and you're on the right track. And I think it's really helpful to have something like that on an app. So first and foremost, when it comes to digital firewalls, you should be using a parenting app. And if you don't know what the gray rock method is, it's basically a method that focuses on keeping a conversation from getting in a high conflict type of way. It's a technique used to manage toxic, manipulative, and narcissistic individuals by becoming intentionally boring and emotionally unresponsive, because the gas that most narcissists, not even most, all narcissists love is having you be emotionally responsive to their emotionally responsive texts, getting really into drama or giving them a lot of attention, reacting. They want you to get mad. They want you to be upset. They want you to get out of character. If they see you working on yourself, they want you to stop working on yourself and do worse. Okay, most importantly, they want you to act exactly like they've been lying to everybody else that you act like, and taking out what actually happened. The best part about being true to myself and creating these boundaries, especially in this type of relationship, is that I'm proving also to my daughter. Because when things were really hectic, I couldn't be the mother that I wanted to be. And so even having these boundaries make you a better person so that you can parent properly, because your children need two healthy parents. But if one is extremely unhealthy and is trying to make the other one unhealthy, then we have two unhealthy parents. So the most important thing for me is continuing to work on these things, especially with the co-parent, because I'm here for my daughter. I'm here to be a role model for her. And that's all that matters to me, is that she is okay and that I am being the best mother that I can be. So another thing, maintaining a technical record, financial, parental non-compliance, anything to have if you happen to go to court, to have if you happen to need to use it as evidence for something. Creating physical spaces and routines with your child that are strictly like abuse-free zones. So routines are so important for children, but I also think it's really important for adults. So having those spaces, we have a space, my daughter has like a little teepee hut space that's for reading and quiet time. My space includes my room, which I've redecorated and made a safe space for myself. So these are important things that seem small, seem like they won't make a big difference, but trust me, after maybe even a couple weeks, you will realize that, wow, this is making a difference. And even just one moment of something that you used to get really upset and start shaking, and now you can feel yourself, okay, I can breathe, I can calm down, I can take this information and not use it in a way that's harmful to my well-being. Internal and protective styles. Those were external ones. These are internal ones. This is about feeling secure in your home, feeling secure in your mind, and not letting that ghost software of the past get a hold of you. Neural recoding. It's all I talk about in my soul reconstruction project. Is our brain needs a whole new recording, because 20, 25, 30 years of it has been controlled by something that wasn't healthy, something that wasn't normal, something that was brought on into your life that you had no control over. It's incredibly important to neural recode because our nervous system is something that can be changed. It's not something that just happens from talking to a counselor a couple times a month. It's not something that happens from watching a couple YouTubes about it. This is something that you have to do in all aspects of your life everything you do, you have to think of it and be a little introspective. So neurorecoding is basically just moving from a high alert nervous system to a regulated one. And like I said, it does not come easy. An internal firewall, learning to filter out the abuser's voice, especially if it's something that you might hear every other day or hear from your daughter's mouth, your children's mouth, from things being brought back to you. And when they're, like I said, as far as the RIP mindset, the R, resilience, and recognizing these types of things is so important. And I, the illumination in identifying how these things affect you, how they affect your daughter, how they affect, the whole system that you're trying to run in a healthy way, being able to recognize and identify what those things are makes you a better architect to reconstruct what you want. This is where we address the reality of our manual struggle. We're trying to raise a healthy child, and we have a parent that's trying to sabotage that. The co-parent I have literally told me before we, ended that that's what he was going to do, and that's what he planned on. It was heartbreaking. Identifying when an abuser is trying to make you fail by doing things like withholding educational expenses, child support, or just trying to make it so that you can't parent properly and they can take that time away from you. It's incredibly hurtful, and it only makes your job even harder. So to not have these kind of tips, advice, these ideas to know how to help yourself, help your child, it's really important. It's not something that just comes without trying to seek out that help or that guidance, the strategies, the resources. You have to actively go above and beyond. Learning to remain calm and remain that steady director of your child's life, even when another co-producer is trying to shut the set down. Even just thinking about being on a film set, that's chaotic. That's like, someone do that. We got to do this. That's kind of feel like, as a director of your child's life at this point, you have many, many, many cast members in your head going back and forth trying to do the jobs to make this turn out correctly. And if you have a co-producer who's trying to literally shut down everything and make everything go wrong, then that's in itself the most chaotic set I can imagine. So the most important thing is that you feel grounded, you know what you're supposed to do. And sometimes it doesn't always help to try to help that co-parent to do the same thing, because they might take it the wrong way. And I will eventually have an episode where we talk about it from the abuser's point of view or the co-parent's point of view. Co-parenting, shifting from co-parenting. I don't know if you guys heard this, but I heard of this word parallel parenting, where you focus 100% on your structural integrity at your own home while they focus on theirs. And I thought it was kind of a bad thing at first. I'm like, well, how are we supposed to do this together, but we're just doing things in a parallel way where we're not? And it was honestly hurtful, because I felt like the things that, my daughter was doing here, and I was showing improvement for her, that these were things that, even as a teacher, that I just knew these were good things for her. And to have a parent tell you, you can't tell me how to parent at my house, she's like, what? Like, I thought we were in this together. I thought we were in it for her. Like, are you saying you're not going to follow any of the things? Or are you just saying that to like what exactly do you mean? You're just going to do the opposite of what I said? Or so it's really hard when you're not getting straight answers from, your co-parent, that person that you're supposed to be working together with to parent your children in the healthiest way. If they're telling you just straight up something that's more of a feeling rather than a structure, or working with you to have a successful conversation, then yeah, parallel parenting is the way. And I definitely want to have another episode where I talk about parallel parenting, and another episode where I talk about the gray rock communication, and even an episode where we dig into court, because more likely than not, if you are parenting with an abuser, a narcissist, and you're going to court, you will try to work things out, and you will probably lack a lot of internal boundaries and external boundaries in the beginning until you go to court. Court just teaches you a whole nother game. It's a whole nother game. So that is for another episode. What I want to end with is some questions that people might have, common questions that I had. I feel extreme guilt whenever I say no. How do I cope with that overwhelming feeling? So that feeling is the echo of your past. Your guilt is proof that you're breaking a pattern that was set in your childhood, a pattern that taught you that worth was tied to your compliance. And that has a lot to do complying. An abuser wants control. An abuser wants you to comply with their rules. So just acknowledging that guilt, but don't let it drive your car. Reframe it. This guilt is uncomfortable, but the feeling of self-respect is worth the temporary discomfort. Say that again. This guilt is uncomfortable, but the feeling of self-respect is worth the temporary discomfort. Second question. What if I set a boundary and the other person gets angry or pulls away? Common theme when you're dealing with an abusive co-parent and post-separation abuse. So, the most crucial test, healthy people respect boundaries, even if they're disappointed. Unhealthy or manipulative people test boundaries and react with anger or withdrawal because your boundary threatens their control. When they react poorly, they're providing you with clear, confirming evidence that your boundary was necessary, so you need to hold firm. I'll repeat that again. When they react poorly with anger, they're providing you with clear, confirming evidence that your boundary was necessary, so you must hold firm. I'm so glad that you guys are listening to another episode of your Soul Reconstruction Project. Your peace is your first priority. Your internal and your external protective styles are acts of radical self-love. Thank you for listening, and until next time, keep unapologetically healing and protecting your peace.